before I begin, I just go through my list because I have made a couple of changes. So I've gone back to 42 and I've included a third shrit. The reason why I've included a third shrit is primarily because it makes siding easier, which sounds weird, but um, for Qliphorts, like I side a lot of cards for Qliphort. And even just in the mirror, I found that, I mean, these two would be Dark Hole and Snatch Steal, and I found that um, I would rather not side out um, monster removal, because I found that at first I would, drop in the preliminary stages at least one Eclipse, and now it would be at least one Dark Hole that I would drop them for MSTs and stuff like that. And in my mind, it was like, oh well, this is to play around emptiness, but emptiness really isn't that much of a problem. Like if they have no monsters, then emptiness doesn't really do anything for them. They'll have to clear it at some point, and if they do have a monster, then your monster removal acts as an MST, but you get more value out of it. Um, and Mind Crush sucks, but MST doesn't really help that. Um, so even though bringing in spells and traps is a good strategy in the Necroz mirror because they're likely to side out any spell trap removal that they have, which means that I would be inclined to side in spell trap removal to counter side their counter side, so to speak. Um, it's unnecessary because the only thing that I'm actually worried about is emptiness. Mind Crush sucks, but it's very difficult to play around, and generally it isn't that brutal unless they have multiples. If they have multiple Mind Crushes, then yeah, you can get pretty badly wrecked. But losing one piece isn't isn't the end, like the be all end all, most of the time. So because of that, I found that there was nothing that I really sided out. I tend to just side out like one Senju and nothing. So I put in another Shrit because it makes siding easier. Which sounds weird, but that's how it is. And it's useful. It complements my decision to play the third Exo Mirror well because it means that rituals don't clog as much and stuff like that. Um, it's a good combo piece, and it also complements Archmage because um, now if Archmage sends a Shrit, I'm not limited in Shrits, but you burn through the Shrits very quickly, which I mean I find I burn through them more quickly now than I did when I ran two, which is neither here nor there. It's just symptomatic of how it is, and I find that I use Cycle. I get a lot of value out of Cycle with things as they are. Because Shrit is obviously the optimal thing to use Cycle as the tribute fodder for most of the time. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the only change to the main. Again, these two would be a Dark Hole and a Snatch Steal, but there's still a week before DN updates with the TCG list. The side and extra were where the main updates were, so I'll start with the extra. For the extra, I put in a second Rhapsody in Berserk, which seems really weird. Like, you may go like, why on earth are you running two Rhapsody in Berserk? The reason why I run two Rhapsody, or I put in the second Rhapsody rather, is because in the mirror I find that I go into it a lot. When you have like the Valk thousand, sorry, the Valk thousand Unicorn play, which is pretty common. Assuming that there is no matchup specificity, then I tend to go into Dagusto, occasionally Lovable. But for the mirror, it becomes more about how you can mitigate the tempo of the opponent. So you can go into Lovable Chain and stack a Maxi, but what you can also do is go into Rhapsody. Rhapsody is very potent in the early game because in the opponent's first turn, assuming that they have a decent hand and you have a decent hand, they're likely to resolve two rituals that turn. Generally, Kaleido and Exo. And generally, it'll be like Kaleido, Exo, the same type of thing, the Unicorn, Senju, Valk. or Unicorn, Manji, Valk type of thing, swing, overlay. And I see a lot of people often going into Lavable Chain, like dumping a shit, and in their mind that's like, yeah, I'm obtaining value, and then they'll have a large hand size, so they'll leave the effects of the rituals until the next turn, so they don't have to discard for hand size limit. And the ritual spells are very strong, and then they can all search each other, so it eliminates the need for you to run more copies of Class LS and stuff like that. So you can focus, Bionic searches and stuff like that more on assembling the monsters than you do the spells. So that's very powerful, and the mirror is ultimately just about tempo. It's about the exchange of tempo. So Rhapsody I go into a lot because you just banish their ritual spells, and then with that, they have to expend their searching cards on searching, Class LS to get a ritual spell, and that limits the scope of what they can do. So it hinders them a lot, and then you just sack the Rhapsody and Valk to draw 2. So Rhapsody has a lot of value in the mirror. I would say it's definitely the best card in your extra deck in the mirror. And I thought about I have a 14 card extra deck essentially. Everything else is perfect. Obviously the level 6 to 12 synchros could be anything, but I think that definitely the ratios are alright to Arclight, 1 level 6. 1 level 6 is useful because against heroes and Burning Abyss, there are times where you'll just want to go Kaleido into Bryanak. A level 10 is useful, again, just for Uni and Bryanak potentially. Star Eater is pretty much essential, I would say, towards late game when you just go, Unicorn, Gugnir, swing, and if they're in the Gugnir range, then that's game. And obviously level 12 to go Unicorn Valk, but I've never felt a need for a second level 12. And all the exceeds up to the 15th are pretty much essential. Cowboy's been putting in so much work, and I didn't think Cowboy was that good at first, but yeah, it's definitely been putting in a lot of work in the rest of them. The only one that I'm skeptical about is Abyss Dweller, I'm not gonna lie, but it's there for now. The deck can make 2200 Abyss Dwellers, which is not a bad thing. So I have a free space, and it would be Crazy Box maybe, Giant Hand maybe, Ragnar Zero maybe, and Heartland Draco maybe, but the second Rhapsody gives you leverage in the mirror, so yeah, that is the change of the extra. And then the changes to the side, I put in a second Kaiku just because it's very good in the mirror, and I want to see it. I don't necessarily want to see multiples, but I want to see at least one at some point in the game. It basically acts as your Denko Sekka in the mirror, because Denko, you summon it, shut down all their back row, and then swing for game. It helps you in an OTK situation, or a time where you just really want to apply quick pressure. And Kaiku likewise, they can't use Valkyries if Kaiku is on the field, so it eliminates that problem for you and just allows you to go clean for game. And also just a very good beat stick, gets over the thousands and lets you banish stuff from their grave. Again, banishing stuff from their grave is very useful, so that's good. And then the other main change is that I put in Fairy Wind, and the reason why I put in Fairy Wind is because I was explained by a guy called Tingy on Duelist Grounds, so very experienced Nekroz player. I was going with Twister and Typhoon for the reasons that I previously explained, and he said that Fairy Wind is necessary because it acts as monster removal as well, because if you clear their pendulums with it, then they can't pendulum summon, which is a huge part of how they assimilate monsters. So it acts as monster removal and as spell trap removal, and in that sense it's worth forfeiting the turn basically that you have to set it, because the effect is so powerful. So Fairy Wind goes in as a triplicate for now. It could go down to 2, but for now it's at 3. So yeah, that's the update list. Proceed to a game, I guess. Alright, so we got a game here. It's in unrated, but the guy's got a really high rating. And he's playing Qliphort, so probably be a very tough game. I'm there at the moment, which is not bad at all to be 1600 plus. I don't lose very much with this deck. Not very often at all, which is nice, but I'm worried in that, like, I don't want to do too well too early type of thing. I don't want to burn out. But yeah, this is the Qliphort opening that I'm used to. And me not maining MST is gonna get kind of exposed, but there isn't too much that can be done about it now. So I'll summon Manju just because I'm gonna go straight for the ritual spell. See if he has skill drain, or he might have skill drain, but he just didn't use skill drain, which is cool. I'll take that. So Manju's gonna get me into Kaleido Mirror. Now here I can either Kaleido into Gagne and Unicorn, or I can just go into Unicorn. I think I'll just go into Unicorn for now. I mean, I don't think he has the skill drain. Sure, yeah. I mean, he probably has the emptiness, but we'll see. No emptiness, cool. I mean, Starry to Gagne Unicorn is a very aggressive play, and there isn't really any particular need for me to play aggressively at this point. Arc will get me Exomera, probably, yeah. Yeah, I'll get me Exomera. So, gonna go for Castle now, try to spin the sacrifice, but he'll probably have a response. Like, I can't imagine him not having a response at this stage if he hasn't used emptiness or skill drain. Unless he's got like 3 MST set, which is very unlikely. So yeah, I go into Castle. I mean, hopefully it does resolve, don't get me wrong, but I'm not sure if it will. I think, alright. So if Castle does resolve, I'll spin that. Then I'd think I'll use a Soul Turnover, okay. So now I'll search out the other scout, I guess. Oh no, he doesn't need to. What am I talking about? I forgot about Carrier's effect. I mean, he might anyway, but it's doubtful. What this does mean is that I can try Trishula now. So Kaleido and Unicorn get banished. I mean, again, assuming he doesn't have skill drain or emptiness, because he could, and I wouldn't have any way to play around it if he held it to this point. Would have been pretty good on his part. So I'd cycle with Kaleido's effect. Use Bionic to get me into Shred. And here we get to see, does he have a response? Nope, no response. So I'm gonna get the Brionac back. The Brionac, whatever. just because I'd rather not use the Gugner at this point. I mean, if I summoned the Gugner, I'd have no things in hand to use for it unless I didn't summon Trishula. And I would rather go for a Trishula play at this point. So I just get Bryanak back as a 2/3 beat. I mean, I probably should have discarded Bryanak to search earlier and then banished that and gone Unicorn back off cycle, but I misplayed, so it happens. Alright, so I go Shrit, out comes Bryanak. Alright, so that's pretty good. I mean, I'll assume he has a Mirror Force set or something, but even if he does have a Mirror Force set, it isn't to get rid of an Upstart Goblin, great. It's probably the most useless thing to get rid of. But yeah, I mean, alright, there's the Mirror Force, that's cool. I'm not going to use Gugner's effect, because I'd rather have no monsters so I can search at least one ritual next turn. And there's no reason for me to anyway. The only way that he can OTK is if he pendulums, and if he does, he'll just get the carrier back and bounce whatever I protect. Cool. So he goes for Helix. One of the cards in his hand is Disc. Now the only card in his hand is Disc. Okay. So probably search Kaleido Mirror. Use Kaleido Mirror again. I won't go for the Staria play. I can Darkhold now, and that's okay. If one of them Soul Turnover, I'll trade it, but it's not awful. I mean, ideally, I would like to use the cycle again to resolve Trishula again, but that's not going to be too difficult to do at all. I just summon Zenju. So banish Exomir and Brionac, search Kaleido Mirror, use Kaleido Mirror, send Herald, get Unicorn, search Unicorn, summon Senju, search Brionac, discard Brionac, add Shrit, discard Unicorn, add Cycle, yeah. Hopefully, assuming that goes uninterrupted. So I banish Exomir and Brionac. In order to add Nekroz Kaleido Mirror. Then activate Darkhold. Yep. Has another Soul Turnover. And then activate Kaleido Mirror. I mean, I don't know what the other one is, but I really do assume that it's an MST. Yeah, I couldn't have really gone about that differently. So I add Brionac with this. Get Shrit. The first part of that cut out. I forgot that that it will do that. But I won that turn basically with that second Trishula play. So I ended up with, he was on 7200. The Trishula resolved. I don't exactly know what I banished in terms of what was on the field. But the back row wasn't anything, which meant that as he was on 7200, Mandrew, Unicorn, and Trishula hit for 6400, and then Cowboy on top of that was game. So yeah, you basically just missed out on that stylish win, and my siding, which is my bad. I'll avoid that happening again. I'll remember that the thing cuts out. I was just so into it that I forgot. Alright, so he uses Mind Crush when I use Kaleido Mirror. Alright, so he Mind Crushes the Kaleido Mirror itself, which is preferable to him doing it on the Unicorn, but it still isn't great. I mean, there isn't a whole lot I can do. Just gonna have to hope he doesn't have a tribute summon of some kind. So yeah, because I can't re-add the Kaleido Mirror and use it. On the Gagne, I've drawn Gagne in both games, which is alright. You know, it could be worse, but it isn't great. It hasn't been. It wasn't amazing last game, but you know, it wasn't the worst either. There could have been worse things to draw. And no doubt Gagne has uses in the Qliphort matchup, so yeah, it's not too bad. So he does tribute summon, and he tribute summons Elias, which sucks. Trying to trick him, you see. Well, he says, yeah, that's how he orders the chain, so if that's how he orders the chain, then I'm allowed to chain. Because it says I can't activate cards or effects in response to that card's activation. But because he ordered it wrong. I don't even know if he did order it wrong. I think that's how it has to be. So what he added, Assembler. Oh, he has the summoners art. Okay. Do I lose? I think I might. With the extra. Oh wow, I forgot that was 2-4. 3-4, 2-8, 18. Oh, that's exactly game. Well, that sucks. Yeah, I didn't side out the Valk because I assumed I was going first. So I'll bring in Senju. Because I'm definitely going first. I didn't know, so I kind of did like a 50-50 type of thing. Yeah. Let's see. Well, this is pretty bad. I mean, it's unfortunate, but I'm gonna have to just try and turtle on the Gugnir for a while. Again the Gugnir. Although this time, like, I'm not annoyed about it. So yeah, Bryanak adds Shrit. I then use Exomira. Ask him if that's okie dokie. So Shrit dies and I get Gugnir. I then use Shrit to add Blue Boy. Wink, wink. To add Kaleido Mirror. And the reason why I do that is because, wait. Yeah. Yeah, the reason why I did that is because by discarding Kaleido Mirror, I have a setup for 2 rituals, which will in most likelihood be Exo Mirror and Kaleido Mirror should the Gugnir die. And if the Gugnir doesn't die, then, you know, I can pop something and just play protect the Gugnir for a while. That a good 2-5 beat. But he uses 2 upstarts, which is not bad. Shows that his hand probably isn't that good. So he summons Helix, sets 4, 5 even, wow. Alright, so one of them is a soul turnover, no doubt. So I'd rather cut him off that, even if it means that, you know, it just goes back to the extra. Now, I could summon the Senju, or I could just attack. I think I'll just attack, because I assume that one of them is a Mirror Force. If it isn't, then I'll summon Search. Search. Probably Unicorn, then Shrip. No, not Unicorn, then Shrip. But I'll search something, and then I'll have something else for Gugnir. But if it is the Mirror Force, then I can start doing a lot of plays in main phase 2. So yeah, and I'd rather not lose the Senju, so I can do some rank 4 stuff as well. Alright, so it's Diamond Dust. Which meant that I didn't have to play around anything as such, but I'm validated in that I can do this stuff now. So I banish Kaleido Mirror and Gugnir. And I'll remember to carry on the recording this time. Yeah, so I banish those 2 to search for another Kaleido Mirror. And if he has Mind Crush set, you can't use it as well. I mean, I assume that he thought that I would pop one of his back row and that he could soul turn over and then mind crush. And then he would really get a resounding lead, but it would have been really nonsensical for me to not kill the Helix. Like, if he set 2, yeah, I would have popped one back row and MST'd the other, but to set 5, nah, there was definitely no reason for me to have done that. So let's see if he has the skill drain now. Nope. Or even Qliphort, is that what it's called? I still don't know what that card does. I think he's admitting defeat, yeah. So that's cool. Very high rated player. It definitely wasn't a bad Qliphort build or anything. But yeah, what I would have done is I'd have added that, assuming that nothing gets interrupted, which with MST, Fairy Wind, and a Diamond Dust gone, it's unlikely that my plays would have been interrupted. So send that, get that, use Collider, use Arc, search for Bryonac, go into Daigusto just to get the additional draw. Yeah, I'd return Senju just because I don't have another normal summon. So like, if my hand is clogged with normal summons, then yeah, I will avoid returning a Senju because I don't want my hands to get more normal summon clogged. But if I have a hand like this where I just completely lack something to normal summon, then yeah, I will return it to increase the probability, and that's what happened, which is pretty cool. And again, assuming no response at any point, which is what seems to have happened. I could go for Decisive Armor, but the only back row that I care about is chainable, so I would rather just draw more conventional things. So again, assuming no response, just draw 2. So I draw another Fairy Wind and a Collider Mirror, which is pretty good. Between the banishing going on there, I would have all 3 of my ritual spells, which meant, you know, set, and I would, let's say I use 2 for argument's sake. I'd probably throw the Fairy Winds out the way just because MST is more versatile at this point. Let's say I use them as even trades because I'm cool. Then draw another Manju, which isn't bad. Then banish everything. Leave the Valking Grave because I can cycle that back should I need to. Cycle. Oh, did I side out an Exo Mirror? Yeah, I must have sided out an Exo Mirror. Alright then. It's unfortunate. I'll leave Bryonac there. Just because I have more Unicorn. So this would get that. Which would get whatever I want, really. It's impossible to say unless I know the game state, but I could, if he left a card in hand, I could go for the Trishula. if I feel like it, I could go for decisive armor. Decisive armor alongside these two is 7k. So if I did resolve at least one fairy wind for at least one card, which I mean I could build a chain so as to do that. Like I could have just MST them fairy wind. I could potentially just swing for game, but I would be cautious to play around the mirror force and stuff like that. There's plenty I could do, but yeah, I apologize for the bit that got cut out. That was annoying, but luckily it was at the last bit anyway. It wasn't like it got cut midway through, which would have really sucked. It got cut on the last turn when I'm pretty sure I already explained the play that I was going to do anyway. It was just drop Unicorn and I'd send you there, and then fetch it to cycle back Trishula to go for a Trishula again. And that shows how much value you can get out of Trishula. Trishula really does threaten pretty much every matchup besides the mirror, and even in the mirror it's a constant threat, something to constantly think about. But definitely for Nekroz it's something that can be played around very easily, but for every other deck, even if you're a good player, it's very easy. Sorry, it's very difficult to prevent committing cards to the field and getting rid of them. So yeah, Trishula was very potent that game. Gagnir sat around a lot, but ultimately put in work in that last game because it was by clearing Helix. No doubt he had soul turnover. 100% sure he had soul turnover. And if he did resolve the soul turnover, then things would have gone very, very bad very quickly, because I didn't open amazingly. I had to really grind that one out, but I think I was validated. So yeah, things worked well. Thanks for watching, and more stuff will be up soon, so I'll see you around.